Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Indie Comics Relay. I'm your host, Keith Gleason. Unfortunately, tonight, Johnny has been indisposed, and we couldn't have him on the show tonight. So I'm going to bring in my lovely co-host here, my wife, Amy Cook de Gleason.
Hi, everybody.
And, Amy, for anybody that doesn't know, Amy is an artist herself, and she's often seen with me at a lot of conventions. It's like a lot of my secret weapons, like with convention tables and like artwork and everything. A lot of stuff Amy creates, and so it's good to have her as a guest, and she can definitely talk artwork, which is good,
Yeah. So I've done editing and additional colors and table watching and cooking.
Yeah, actually, to be honest with you, like she's done some touch-ups on a lot of the Mighty Mascot pages here and there. Just little things that you wouldn't even notice, like adding an eye here or a claw here, there, So, hey, Rick Roland, glad to have you here. Pedro, glad to see you. Hey, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. So our guest tonight is a guy I met a couple years ago. He's an indie artist. He's, just like the rest of us, trying to cut a path into this crazy world we call comics. So without further ado, let me bring in tonight's guest, Enrique Lopez. Hello, Enrique. How are you?
How are we all doing tonight?
Good, man. Good to see you. I was just doing on the intro, just saying how we met. What was it, 2 years ago at East Coast Comic Con?
I believe. Actually, no. I think we were 3 years ago at Terrificon.
At Terrificon, wow. Okay, because me
and what I called that lonely row on the side. It was.
Yeah. The lonely artist alley, right?
I had like a little. I pitied. I go like, God, let's talk to these people. My God, I can't believe they've been put over here.
Oh my God, dude, we've seen it all. We've seen it every. We've been going to conventions since 2008, anyways, Amy.
Yeah, about that.
And we've been to amazing shows, and we've been to not so amazing shows. So.
I'm already doing it for about 2 years, and I can. There are a lot of ups and downs in there, and.
Oh really? You've only been going to conventions for about 2 years, huh?
Yeah. It's like
no kidding.
The year we met was actually I was there because CB from Marvel was looking at submission, at artwork and stuff. So I went there with sequentials they had done, and that's basically just before I actually started going to major shows. And it's like I started a little after that, because that was in August of last year, like around, I think it was October, that I did the Bergenfield Library show, which was my first show next to Mark McKenna.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Michael Gerlich was on my other side. So I haven't been doing this as much as people think I have.
See, when I saw you, I thought you were a seasoned vet. I had no idea that you were a little wet behind the ears.
I think that makes me look seasoned. He's got no hair. He's probably he's been around for a while.
Yeah, right.
He probably knows. Yeah. But actually, last year I did 28 shows. 28 shows.
Oh wow! Okay. So those are like our numbers.
So mostly, so you were thinking like I've been to too many shows. Yeah, I kind of did it in 1 year. I tried to pack in like 3 years worth of shows for normal people, and that's what I needed to get out there and let people see me. And then this year I was going to even do more. I was going to go all the way up to the Midwest.
Good for you.
I was going.
That's the way to do it, man. Honestly, if anything I've discovered in like the, almost 15 years we've been doing it, is the consistency is like going to shows, and you start building an audience that knows you, that there's people at most conventions, there's like regulars that come to those shows. And I mean, we have a ton of regulars at each different show that we go to that come to check us out, you know, that are bought from us in previous years. And that's the way to do it, man. It's like with anything, you know.
I'm still waiting to get built up the regulars, you know.
Yeah, you got to.
I got it, but I already got a few people that will always be at certain shows, and they'll pop up and stuff. And people have been there. Like Andy's been to my very first major show that I went to in Midtown. He was there. He saw me on Instagram, and he showed up. Oh, I saw the picture of what you're going to sell. Can I get one? I go, oh, absolutely. So he's always at every show I do. And usually when I go to a show, you will usually find me next to Keith Williams, because apparently we're like a combo, you know. Keith
I just saw Keith.
Concord.
Yeah, the one convention I did this year was Little Big Giant up in New Hampshire, and Keith was there, and we talked for a few minutes. I think I met him at a few other shows, but you know, like we were just friendly to each other, and we just talked about how crazy it was to be doing a convention in COVID, you know.
Yeah. A 14-foot table, he was telling me they were there and stuff.
Yeah, there was like your table, and then there was like 2 spaces in between. It was like I didn't feel unsafe, which was good, but you know, like it was definitely, the world's not ready for cons yet. I mean, the only people that were actually really there were like hardcore collectors. And yeah, once they left the show, it was dead, you know.
Yeah, because who was it? Chris Campana was telling me that like when the VIPs came in, it was like really packed in.
Yeah.
Like about an hour or so too, and then after that, it like kind of trickled down. Because basically, hardcore people came in early, and then the other people are like, "Well, why are we here?"
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And Chris was actually right next to me. I don't know Chris well. I was gonna introduce myself, but I figured it wasn't. It wasn't the convention to like walk around and.
He is. I met Chris. Yes, he is really cool. I met him at New York Comic Con about pretty much 3 years ago.
Okay.
He was doing a piece for. He did a piece for me for a cover I needed, and since then we kept good communication. We talked to a lot of all the shows, but it's like he tends to go to different shows because he did a lot of work for, I believe, Hasbro for a while, and he did a lot of the artwork for the packagings of the Masters of the Universe.
Oh,
so
really?
He gets invited to a lot of toy shows.
Yeah, I saw his artwork is very good.
On the packaging, so
yeah.
So he's like in a different circle sometimes. So when we meet up, it's awesome. That's like, but every once in a while I say, "Oh, you did this show? What? No, you don't want to go there. That's a toy show. don't go there. You know, you're not gonna have fun." I go, "Okay, so cool."
So, let's take a step back. So, how did you get into the whole like? Were you always drawing comics, or is art something that you were always doing as a kid, or was it?
Well, I was a little wee boy.
Little wee boy, yeah. I think we all, even Amy, right? Even when you were young, you were doing art.
Always drawing, and doodling, and.
I'm mostly a writer, to be honest. I've always been hoping to be the next Hemingway and.
Oh, okay.
And stuff like that, but I guess always combined it with the drawing. So like when I remember like the first time my parents were telling me I would do in first grade, they would give out this paper that had this big space on top, and on the bottom you're supposed to, like, you know, the big lines that you're supposed to print out to learn to write. Well, I was always taking extra of those papers home, and I was watching all these shows like the Wacky Races, Speed Racer stuff. So I basically take my friends, put them into a story really similar, and combining the two. And then what I would do, I would write the story, and then on top I would have a drawing. So I was always since first grade doing that. I continued to do that from even while in high school. It was considered like really geeky, nerdy stuff to do that. I still kept at it in writing. I submitted to Isaac Asimov's Science Fi book, the Amazing Stories, all these things. Obviously rejected, like most people, but always getting feedback. And I have a whole tons of stories written from that era. And then when I told my parents I want to go study art and stuff, they go, no.
Yeah, right. It's not a real career.
I'm from a Cuban family, all right? So they were like, no.
Yeah.
It's like, no, mijo, no. So
yeah, it's like being an actor, you know,
you don't want to starve.
Yeah,
go be an accountant like we are. Like,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, right.
So
Don't be boring, right?
So I actually did the route of going for accounting. I have a minor in accounting, but I switched up to go to advertising and basically marketing. So I did an internship at an advertising agency in New Orleans, and I liked it. And I said, wait a minute, I can get both sides of this in this deal. You know, I can be a business person and yet do art. So I concentrated my senior year in college, taking video production, stage crafting, stage crew, acting, script writing, etc. Because I said all this stuff I'll be able to use for business and for myself. And when I got so I went into advertising, I meeting other similar people. We started doing books together, preparing submissions. We actually did, before even Marvel and DC did, I actually wrote a story of a crossover between the Punisher and Batman with the Kingpin and Two-Face as the villains. And we actually did the first issue. I wrote it and inked it, and a buddy of mine, he drew it and rejected. But anyway, so it was one of those things that this is already coming into the 90s now. And I was figuring out, it's not going to happen for me. I'll just enjoy reading whenever, but I'm not going to be able to get in here. So I concentrated going full into business. So it wasn't until like 3 years ago that my daughter started to have a little more of interest in the art. Okay. Now, she already had been doing cosplay. So she was already into sewing, and she actually took classes in the prestigious store here in New York, Mood. So she actually learned from where you see those shows. Like she learned at the same place. So she got really good at doing the cosplay. So when she was preparing for the cosplay, she always had to do a sketch of what she wanted. But then she started liking doing the sketches more than doing the sewing and the building. So she went into the art side, and I started noticing how she was doing work. I said, like, if you want to do this, you need to see the reality. So I'm going to start taking you to shows, and let's do a few shows and stuff, and so you can see what artists go through. Because I don't want to sugarcoat it. She wants to go, well, I want to study because I want to go for Pixar. Wait a minute.
Yeah. Come down to reality for a minute.
Let's really back in. Let's get going. And I took her to shows, and that's where I bumped into Mark McKenna, bumped into Jay Lipson, Keith Williams, all these other, Billy Tucci, and they're all like, why aren't you doing this? Because I don't do this anymore. And I'm like, but you should just do it. And Mark was the first guy. He sent me the note and says, look, there's this library show. You got to do it, man. You got to just bring some stuff and let's see what happens. And that's what's been going on. Billy let me do. The bug,
So No, go ahead. No, go ahead. What were you going to say? Billy did.
Billy let me. I showed Billy a Vampirella I had done on one of his inking on one of his pieces, and he liked it so much. And he says, "Look, if you ever want to do this as a print, let me know." And you got to go ahead for it. And so I actually did it, and that was my very first print.
That's awesome.
So it's like, and that's one of my better sellers, actually, the Vampirella. So that's
how it starts, man. Like once you.
There was also Paul Abrams. Paul Abrams, online, because I remember him from when he was doing Savage Sword Conan and stuff like that. So he's kind of retired, just doing his own thing now. But he was giving me a lot of feedback while on Instagram, and he also sent me stuff. And he was saying, "Look, why don't you try doing some of this stuff of mine?" And I was struggling. With it. So he tells me, "You know what? I'm going to send you an inking by Kevin Conrad on me, so you can see how he does my inks. So you can see how he grades and does all the different shading." He says, "Not that you're this good. It's just to let you know, and I don't expect you to be this good, but to give you an idea how it works." And then I looked at it and I'm like, wait a minute, I understand what's going on here. And then I produced the Werewolf piece. When I sent it to him, Paul was like, where does this come from? You know, how do you go from what you're doing to this point? It says, anytime anybody teaches me something, I pick it up immediately. So as long as I can see it done or understand it, I can adapt it and work it. So everything like Paul, Keith, Mark, they've all been real supportive. So I'm really blessed to have been helped into this, because like I tell everybody, 98% of the people you meet in the industry are the coolest people you'll ever meet.
Oh yeah, I can attest to that.
2% that are not.
Yeah, and you try to avoid them like the plague. But speaking of expert inkers, we have in the chat tonight, Mr. Ryan Wynn. Do you know who Ryan Wynn is, Enrique?
You know,
he's like a professional level inker. He's worked for Top Cow. He's worked for Valiant. Worked for a bunch of DC. Yeah, I'm sure you have. He's actually in a writing role now. Actually, he does a book for Alterna Comics called Gods and Gears. I don't know if you've seen that book.
Yes, I've seen it.
Yeah, he's a great guy too. The few times I've talked to him in live streams and stuff, he's pretty awesome. We're gonna probably have him on the show at some point down the road. But what his comment here is 100% correct. I think in today's world, to make it as an indie comic artist, writer, whatever you want, marketing has to be part of your DNA to actually stand out and to actually find an audience. I think if anything, I find that some artist friends and just associates, I feel that they are much more talented than myself, yet I seem to do better in some areas and they don't. And it's because normally when the artist goes through this, they don't get trained in the art of selling and marketing and promoting and stuff. And they got to kind of learn it on the fly. And some people struggle with that. And I mean, I've seen it. So I'm always there. You know what? You should try doing this, try doing that, change this. Larry Stroman, he would come to my table once in a while when I started at the beginning of the year was a certain rig. My table looked in one way. By the end of the year, it was very streamlined. But at the beginning was like, it took me like almost 2 hours to build it. Oh, yeah.
And he would come every week just to check it out and says, well, Larry, what are you doing? No, I'm trying to see what you created this week. What's the new gimmick? What's the new thing you're doing? And though I liked his comment, I also thought, I don't want to be a gimmicky guy. So let me find something that works. And I figured it out later. Then it's also about the way it's presented and put up there.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get these really tiny tables of 6 foot. There's just no way to put a lot of stuff. And it all bundles up.
Especially at the bigger shows too. I could tell you too, my table is still revolving. I still, every few years, I go to a new show and I see somebody doing something that is really cool. And I was like, oh, I got to copy that, So it's, you constantly learn from the people around you, especially in Artist Alley. And then, marketing too, I think jumping on social media, having an Instagram is huge, especially if you're an artist, I was just talking about Ryan. He's got a YouTube channel where he does inking, especially, and you might be interested in that. He basically, he'll send out a newsletter before he does his show with a piece of artwork where people can kind of ink along while he's doing the show. I think it's a great idea.
And see, this is my show.
Yeah,
inking
I was
with.
just looking at that.
Now, how do you say that? Is it Kike?
Kike, yeah, Kike. Yeah, okay. I do that on Mondays at 8:00 on Instagram.
Okay. What do you do?
It's a conversation and art show at the same time. For the first hour, the artists I usually try to get a penciler, and then they send me a piece, and then I ink it while they ink it themselves, or they're doing another illustration, and we talk pretty much like we're doing now. What's their history, what they're doing about. But I concentrate a lot on, first of all, my friends.
Okay.
And a lot of the independents. Hey, Phil. What's it going? Phil Russert.
Thanks for joining us, Phil.
Yeah. You know who Phil is? You know Phil?
No, I don't know. Who is he?
Phil, you should get to know Phil.
Okay.
Phil, I'm gonna do a little pause right here, a little digression. Phil he runs Creator Con. That used to be the Suffolk County Art and Comic Expo. Thanks a lot, Ryan. I will check with you too. And Phil runs this show that's absolutely top shelf. I mean, his Artist Alley rivals New York Comic Con, especially because he has me in there. So, but in all seriously, I remember the first time I wanted to get in his show last year in April. I was practically harassing the man. Hey, you have a spot open? Has the spot open? Come on, tell me the spot open. That spot's got to be open. If I eventually were like, okay, I'm gonna give you a spot. Stop bothering me. But it's actually a really good show, and you should definitely get in touch with him.
What's the name of the show?
Now, it was before a 1-day show. Now it's going to be a 2-day show.
What's the name of the Comic-Con?
Creator Con. He actually has.
Is he part of that Creator Con After Network? Is that something different?
Comic-Con. He's part of Comic-Con Network, and he has a Q&A show that he puts on Tuesdays and Fridays. I'll be on his show in November 3rd because I didn't think anybody was going to do the show, and apparently a lot of people did, so I got stuck in the end of the line. So, yeah, but it's
get the last name, yeah.
Oh yeah, that's me.
Yeah, so she's looking at your.
I'm looking through the Instagram, but which we can talk about after. But there's so much cool stuff on here, and
I fly all over the place. I'm really like one of the things I'm doing now is that I just got today watercolor paints, pencils, my palette things and stuff because I want to start doing not just the comic book stuff, but also doing some landscapes and stuff because that's what I used to do in advertising. I was more of a what do you call it? When in advertising, I was the guy who would do the drawings for the architects for their concepts. So I would draw the buildings and the houses and stuff, and that's what I always enjoyed. I was going to be an architect. I wanted to, so I figured, wait, 5 years? No, we're not doing that. No. I've been doing that, so I enjoy doing landscape. Let me see by chance.
I saw a few buildings on your Instagram that you had drawn. Very nice.
Real quick, this is actually the first panel from my horrendous story.
Yeah, let me make you big here. Hang on one sec, so you can. Let's see. Oops. Oh wait. Let me see if I can. Hold on. There we go.
There you go. This is actually an 11 by 17 that I did because I wanted to make.
Oh wow, that's really good. So are you gonna do that with watercolors too, or?
I might do this one in watercolor. Then I might do something with it later. That's the first panel on my stupendous, horrendous story that I just handed in today. That's coming out in Halloween. So
cool. Now is that the magazine that you sent me an email to check out?
In the email is this one.
Okay, let me make it big here again. So now is that so I've only heard about that from you. Oh wow, that's a really thick magazine.
Yeah, it is. It's overall. It's got 104 pages.
Oh wow.
13 artists, 7 stories.
How much do they charge for that?
Okay, and this is the original. This is the one they did last year. Horrendous.
Oh
which
wow.
Is like a little magazine type.
What do they put it out like once a year?
No, well, yeah, he's doing it once a year, and he called me to do the stupendous. This is my character. That's my character there, and this is my other character here. These are mine.
This is really cool. So
they asked me to do the inking for all the characters on the cover. So
wow, that came out great. It's a very striking image.
Now that's actually you're asking the price. That actually is a great deal. You get that for just $10. I mean,
wow.
Nowadays you get a comic book for $6.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get a whole book like that. Yeah,
this is all these stories are self-contained. There's only one that goes a little extra, which is like Chris Espiritu Santos, because it's based off like a preview to his main book, War, and the Thunderbolt story is actually the launching pad because Matt and I are going to be doing the Mighty Atomic Thunderbolt. which is this character.
You see
here.
the cover again? Oh yeah. Hold that up right up to the camera. Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah,
reminds me of the old
the Thunderbolt. Matt and I are going to be doing that comic for in 2021. We were
I like
supposed
the
to
rooster guy.
For February, but he got a new deal.
What a great idea! So, like, now is this guy a one-man publishing house or something?
John Muller, he just basically he's another artist. He's the artist. John does these characters here.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to snag one of those.
Actually, this dragon here is the from the comic book store that usually supports the show. This book is White Dragon Comics over in Pennsylvania. So that's their logo.
Oh yeah.
So he decided to do this to give local artists here in New Jersey and Pennsylvania an avenue and a venue to actually talk and get to the public through a nice little piece. Now, when he did this one last year, I'm going to show you. Look, you can see the difference between the two. Now, this is like, you can see it's like more of a magazine type.
Yeah, that's more like a book. Yeah.
This is like a trade paperback. The horrendous #2 is going to actually be larger than this one.
Oh, geez.
Because the thing is
that fantastic.
Because when he did this one last year, I found out about it very, very late.
Yeah, so you couldn't get in there.
Anything. But he told me, look, I'm going to do another one soon. I'll let you know. But when he called me, look, I'm doing the book is called, what is it? Oh, it's called Stupendous. We're doing superheroes. I was like, okay. And I'm not into superheroes, so I did. But anyway, I did the story in here. And my original story for this was a little bit darker because I wanted to talk about a different story as to things that happened to me as a kid. And so I wanted to bring that story, and it was very, very dark. The ending was very dark. And to be honest, my wife hated the ending. My daughter hated the ending. But everybody hated the ending except me. And I said, it's got to be that ending. But the problem was that when COVID hit, I talked to John. I said, John, you know the story of mine is really dark. He goes, yeah. Should we still keep it? Or what? Because I don't want to bring a downer during a time that everybody's like kind of down. And he was like, well, we're not going to put it out for Free Comic Book Day because it's been canceled because of all this. So I'm going to give you another month, a few more weeks. Want to do a new story? I go like, okay, I'm up for the challenge. So I ended up doing something totally, had to scratch everything I'd already done and start from scratch again. And even with that, I just take too long. And I was running into a time crunch. So I called a friend of mine, Eric Hernandez, and he's the creator and writer for Soul Eraser, which I'm going to be inking starting next year. Because he's on issue 2, I'm going to take over on issue 4. So I asked Eric, look, Eric, can you come in here and I need help on one page. I need this page. It's giving me some trouble. I want to get it done. He says, okay, I'll come in and do it. So I sent him my first 3 pages and the script for the 4th. And then I'm not kidding. In 30 minutes later, I got that.
Let me make you big here again.
30 minutes.
30 minutes? He cranked that out in 30 minutes?
He did the layout. Wow. Okay, like when he did the inking. But it was already set up that way. So I'm like, dude. So, and then I told him, look, I like what you did with the characters. Send me a breakdown of how you would fix this other splash page I had. He goes like, okay, let me work on it. And then he did that in another 30 minutes.
He's fast. He's fast.
That's what you need nowadays.
And then I told him, dude, so obviously he got the credit in there and all that stuff. But what I like about it is that here he didn't have to do backgrounds.
Well, I think that helps with artists,
He kills me to ink his books because he apparently thinks that blank space is a bad thing. So it's like every page. Oh, thank you so much. Every page is filled with something in the background. So I'm my hand every time I do one of his works. It's like
I think it's a quickness thing, though. Some artists, I think it's a quickness thing. Like a lot of artists that are trying to, get to that next project, do limited backgrounds unless they have to do a detailed background. Most of the time especially with sequentials, I think like people, you kind of want a quick style because you gotta keep moving. You know, you got to keep banging out those pages. You know,
for my story now in Horrendous, the first page, what I basically did was the big splash I just showed you, right? And I did it really big, 11 by 17, because my idea is that I'm thinking, when I draw, I think like a movie. So I'm always doing like a storyboard. So I have the camera moving in. So I decided, well, if I make it really big, when I reduce it, it'll go into this size. But when I start bringing it up, it'll be actually expanding into the original size, and it won't deteriorate the quality. Because what I did for Stupendous, I did it in reverse. I did the first panel in Stupendous, and then I expanded it, and I didn't like the effect it had, despite the fact that I fixed it, because the opening shot of Stupendous, if you notice, it starts, and you kind of like, the idea is like the camera's on the bottom of this river, and you were started kind of moving towards the building. That's how those panels are working. And so I decided, no, for this one, we'll go big and go small, so when it comes up, it'll look great. And
yeah, that's what you got to do constantly with comics, is just figure out the best way to tell that story, you know. And if it means starting big and then going small, you know, then you got to do it, you know.
And right hear what you're saying about the resolution too. Like, you have a bigger image, so when you the resolution will stay.
Like, for example, now when I scanned it at 600. So when I bring it down to 300, it's even bigger. Yeah. So I was able to work it really well. So when John saw my work this time, it was like, bro, this is like, for the story I sent into Horrendous, it looks fantastic. I said, of course, I learned from my experience doing Stupendous. Like, for example, I used the Photoshop to do all the panel lines, because they're all going to be perfectly square now. And the other time I did them all hand drawn, and they were like, every once in a while I noticed, hey, they're 9 seconds straight here. So this time they're all perfectly in line. Everything looks great. I cleaned it all up. And I'm really happy with the way it came out. I think.
Yeah, I read the story. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good, like, was it like 6 pages? I think it was like good, just a quick like superhero book, you know, story with a little twist at the end. I thought that was cool. And then just a quick like action-packed short story, which is what you want from like a superhero book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because originally I was going to do the attack scene was going to be against 6 guys, and I said, I can't draw that.
It's too much. Too much information.
I was thinking a super Batman kind of stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
Big action scene. I go, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah, and scale it back.
I dropped it down to 2. I go, that's manageable.
Yeah,
but then
there you go.
I ended up not doing it because Eric did it. Now, when I sent Eric the layout of already my thumbnails, when I told him, it was like, this is the scene, but I told him this panel in particular, especially the one the guy is falling backwards like that, I had it in a totally different way because I was thinking more slapstick.
Yeah.
But he came in, because originally I had drawn it like the guy doing like a flick, and the guy was like falling off. You see shoes flying all over the place and stuff like that. But he went with the more action-packed. And go like, you know what? This works now that I'm thinking of the idea for the story, because now this first story in Stupendous was actually going to start the line that will end up at the story I originally had thought about putting in the book. So now this is actually the starting point. And having having him actually doing artwork next to mine is actually going to be work towards the idea that I have for the story at the end. So it might be maybe in about 3 years we'll need another Stupendous issue. You will get the
full thing. Yeah, for everyone that's watching, it's basically just a superhero story with 2 superheroes show up at a warehouse, and there's like criminal activity going on, and then a battle breaks out, and it's like a nice little twist at the end that you're like, oh, that's kind of cool, you know.
Did you read did I send you the short story as well or not?
I did. Yeah, I read that. I like the twist in that as well. I thought that was good, and I thought. For a one-page story, you got everything in there. You know, you got the characters in there, and you got like a little twist that, you know, everyone kind of, the way you wrote it, everyone's kind of thinking one thing.
Yep.
And then you get that Shyamalan twist, and
almost all my stories have something like that. You know,
I like it though. It's good. It felt natural. You know what I mean?
I won't be too pigeonholing myself with that a lot, because Horrendous, my story in Horrendous, which I can now, because I already handed it in. Now I'm starting to promote it. The title of my story is Carnivorous. So there we go.
Okay.
Carnivorous is the name of the story. So Carnivorous is going to have a nice ending. It took me a while. Now that's Carnivorous. Actually, I tell people.
So it's more like a horror, like a creature, like a creature or something like that.
I don't know. We're not saying.
Okay, so yeah, we don't want to spoil.
All I can say that it's what happens in the
supernatural.
story. It actually happened to me in one moment in life. In real life. Not exactly what happened in this one, because it's way out there. But based on reality for me, something really did happen similar to that incident. So.
So Enrique, let me before you go into it more about Horrendous, is there a place like these magazines look awesome? Like, is there a place like the audience can go to get these? Like, or are they just in? Let me hang on. Let me make you up high here. Okay, so we can get these magazines from you.
Yeah, they can go to my webpage or my Instagram. PM me. You know, I am still, despite the
I think I'll put all these links in the video too, in the description, so people, if you liked those magazines that Enrique held up, Stupendous and do you have Horrendous as well?
No, Horrendous is coming out on.
Okay, so just Stupendous is the one that you have available.
Is the one I have right now.
Okay, all right, yeah. Follow.
I'll be taking pre-orders eventually, so.
Okay, yeah. That'd be awesome.
That's a really good deal too for a lot of story. Like, I'm seeing you got there's a good list of artists on your Instagram that contributed to it. And so would you said 6 different stories for $10?
No, actually more. I think there are like 7 stories there. But the thing is that you get this. Anybody will sell it to you. We're all selling for $10. Now, on my website, I give you this. But you get for free a mini 4x6 print and a bookmark, all included for the $10. Only $5 shipping, and that's it. For $15, you get.
That's a great deal.
That is a really good deal.
A mini print. Everything is signed by me if you want it. If you don't want it signed, you can let me know.
Yeah, no. Usually, people want it signed.
Yeah. So.
Well, you know what's funny is like that's a great deal, because usually indie guys. They might have like a 5-page comic, and then they have it on their table for like $15. You know, it's like because the paper from wherever.
That's the balancing act, because you really want to get your work into people's hands, but you also need to be able to cover your costs. So a lot of people get stuck.
Exactly.
Well, my book is actually, if anybody's in New Jersey area, I have copies available at ANS Comics in Teaneck and in North Bergen. They are available there. So, and they include the print and the bookmark.
Really?
Also, okay. For $10. You get in there for $10, and but Ara, all you gotta do is send me a PM through my Instagram, and we'll get it. I'll get it over to you, man.
He wants it signed as well.
Yeah. And it's like I said, it's a great deal, because not only you get all these local artists, you're actually getting a previous story from our book of the Mighty Thunderbolt that's coming out.
Oh, cool.
So I didn't ink that one because of the situation that he had his brother ink it for him, and just because time factor, because of my own work, because I was taking so Tomashan wasn't able to do it. Christian and I have done work together, but now for Horrendous, the new Horrendous, I was able to bring in a bunch of my friends. James Avila, Tom Travers are doing book. Joe is doing the book. Everybody on this one is in here. So it's going to be maybe about 150 pages.
Oh, wow.
Maybe around that. And now that I'm taking it, now that I'm Horrendous, I'm actually starting to promote it. But I can inform, I'm going to say it here on the show, that I've been given the opportunity, I've been lucky that I've been asked to contribute to an anthology that's going to be out on Kickstarter in next year, 2021. Okay. I'm going to be contributing 3 stories. I'm writing 3 stories, at least 3, maybe 4. It's called Not So Fair Tales. It's an anthology where we take public domain fairy tales and give them a new twist. Hey, that sounds like something I can do.
Now, is that going to be prose or is that a comic? anthology.
Comics.
It's gonna be a comic anthology. Okay.
And
yeah, why not? Why not?
150 pages at least.
Yeah, there's some great stuff you can mine from that.
It's going to be 9x9, also very interesting size.
Okay.
We have John Englefield III is actually running it, and he worked on Stupendous with me, and so he kind of said, "Hey, now that I know you, and I know you can do right, want to do this?" So I'm going to be writing a story based using Jack the Giant Killer.
Okay.
Another story is going to be with the Big Bad Wolf and Pinocchio, and the third one is the one nobody knows this character. I mean, I didn't even know it. It's called Iron John.
Okay.
And that's going to be the most important story for me because the Jack the Giant Killer, I'm going to make it fun. It's going to be like, imagine Massive Man except that's a giant killer, Basically, that's there's another continuation of this story with maybe a little funny thing going on. The Pinocchio and the Big Bad Wolf, I'm asked a good friend of mine, Matt Burdich, to do work with me. He's a very good cartoonist. So that one's going to be, I'm not going to go, it's going to be funny. It's going to be funny as heck. That is going to be the laugh. Hopefully it's going to be a highlight. But the Iron John one, I'm using it to talk about things that are bothering me and things that are happening in the world today.
Okay.
As an Hispanic immigrant, things sometimes feel a little bit weird and overall in the world. So I'm using that as my analogy towards a lot of stuff that's going on. And for me, it's very important to the point that I've asked so many artists to work it with me, and I have not been able to get anybody committed to it because either there's too much time, or they're just intimidated by the theme, or they're just saying, "Wow, I don't know if I can do this." So I'm ending up probably having to draw it myself.
Oh wow! Okay.
And it's going to be.
Well, actually, that might turn out better if you think about it, because you're doing.
I feel like I want to give the story such great art, and I look at mine and go like, "Oh man, can I pull this off?" Because what I have in my mind is so big, and the final panel has to be perfect to get the story across. Because I've already decided, I haven't decided which way the twist or the way the story is going to end, because it's going to end in two different characters of what I'm thinking could be at the end.
Gotcha.
Depending on which one I choose, it might have a different impact on the story. So I'm still haven't written them, but like I'm already saying, for the first team, I have the creator of Stupendous and Horrendous. He will be the artist. He's writing. I'm writing it. He'll be drawing and color and lettering. I'll be inking it. And then a good friend of mine, Robbie Bryan, will be doing the coloring. And the second story, Matt Burdich, he's going to do everything, color everything except I might ink it, depending on what style we end up choosing, how he's going to work it. I might ink it, or I might just let him do it and he'll just write it. And then Iron John will probably be all me. But because I'm really concerned about, I really want it because that one has a lot of dialogue. I've asked, and I got this, and he accepted. Carlos Mangual, he is a letterer for DC Comics.
Okay.
And he'll be lettering that story.
Oh, good.
So, I mean, I'm shooting for the stars on that one.
Yeah, you should, especially if it's a personal story,
Character to have a very distinct type of letter. So I already saw in my mind that, and he has done this in other works. And I got to give props to Joe Caramanga, who because of his contact with Marvel,
we know Joe. We know Joe very well, actually. Joe's a great guy. I've known him for years. I love Joe.
I met Joe actually at a book signing at at the ANS Comics, and we've hit it off, and we've been friends for quite a while and stuff. I miss seeing him at shows and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, me too.
He's given me. I letter my own books, and he's actually sat down with me a couple times and gave me, a handful of pointers on what to do with lettering and, word balloons and things like that. So I always I just cherish that he actually took the time to do that for me. So it's made my lettering way better.
You mentioned you letter, right?
I do letter, yeah.
Yeah. I think Matt hasn't Matt talked to you about the Thunderbolt as well? I thought he did.
No, you talking about Matt Parton?
Yeah.
Yeah, not yet. I just been super busy with like everything, like because on top of
he did a variant for your book, if I'm not mistaken.
He did,
yeah. He did a pinup. Yeah.
Yep, and I you know, besides lettering my book, I picked up a few.
What's happening, man?
Yeah, right.
I thought you missed what? How can you do this? How can you do this?
Well, hopefully there'll be more. You know, hopefully there'll be more. But I was gonna say, like, I picked up a few other lettering gigs on the side, and it's just like, you know, I just getting better, and like, you know, it's such a skill on itself. It's like inking, you know, it's such a skill, you know, like to learn it and to do it well, you know.
Everybody thinks it's like inking and lettering. You just type it in there and that's it, you know.
Yeah, some people do, and you can totally tell.
Well,
yeah, the thing with lettering, like,
I mean, I kind of hit it a bit because I know a little bit about setting up type from my advertising days, but I didn't have I didn't create great bubbles and stuff. I just went with.
All you got to do is look at comics. I mean, honestly, that's how I learned initially. Is I just looked at what they were doing on the comic page and like how they shaped the balloons, how they did the sound effects, things like that. It's a lot of it's like, you know, just doing it, practice, you know,
looking at it and learning from it,
and try to recreate it, you know. So, but
I was gonna say, lettering is so underrated too, because when you have bad lettering, you really notice it. But when you have that good lettering, it just flows. Like,
you don't notice.
You don't notice it. It's just it tells your story. And when it's something like for Iron John, that story you're gonna do, like, yeah, I can see why you definitely want like a pro letterer who's going to make it the way you want it.
I see it to be a very complex conversation, because it's mostly a conversation between two characters and the interaction.
Right, and you want to use the letterer to kind of balance out the panels too. Make it not look so daunting. I mean, make it not look like a Bendis page. You know, ever see a Brian Bendis page? There's like type everywhere, like, you know. But what was I going to say? So we're kind of.
My horrendous story has only 0 dialogue. Let's put it that way.
Okay. Perfect. Easy read.
But see now,
I don't want to do lettering. That's one. Two, they only have some sound effects, and the last page has the main sound effect, and everything.
That's kind of fun, though.
My idea when I wrote the story was, if I cannot tell the story without telling you the story, then I failed.
Yeah, so definitely.
And I gave it to everybody. Do you understand? About so like my family and stuff, and they go like, yeah, they may not know immediately what the story is really about, but they go like, yeah, I get what's going on.
Right. That's what you need.
I mean, I actually had put in captions, and when I sat down with my daughter last night to look at it for the last time, I go like,
it doesn't even need this, yeah.
And she goes like, well, I don't like the type that much. She goes, well, that's okay, that's style. That's not. But do you think it's needed? She goes like, and I think we can take it out. Let me see. And she looked at the whole story and goes like, you don't need those words. I think we can take. So I just took them out.
Sometimes it's redundant, and like, I mean, if you think about it, what's when you think about the G.I. Joe comic, what's the most famous issue? The silent issue, right? With Snake Eyes, where there was not even a single word balloon in it. You know, so that's the one everyone, you know, talks about. So we're kind of getting in up. We're almost up to an hour here, so let's start wrapping it up. So Enrique, like, before we wrap up the show and end, so like, where can people find you? Do you want to hold up your piece of paper again?
Yeah, I'll put the little piece.
Yeah. So now, are you? Oh, oops! I didn't mean to make me big. Okay, so go ahead, hold it up.
Instagram is here on the screen.
Yeah, right. So now, where are you most of the time? Is it Instagram?
Instagram.
Yeah, that seems to be the place for artists.
And you can go to my studio page on Facebook, but it basically is Instagram on there and do stuff. I did a show. I did the Ambient Con. I did a live sketching, and it's still up there, the video, which I did for an hour. I showed people different techniques. I basically took, let me see, this is here. Let me see if I have it here. Yeah. I basically took this piece of this art. This is from the storyboards of
Oh wow,
Game
it
of
came out
Thrones.
great.
I did it with different styles. Half of the face is done with micron, the other half with brush pen to show the difference, how a texture could look, and what can be used, and what not can be used. And let me see if I have it here still. Well, might have it around here. Oh yeah, and then to drive it to the point that you can use anything you want to draw. I did this with a twig that I picked up from my backyard.
Oh my god, that's great.
So I just used a twig, dropped it in my using the ink, and I just started, and it came up. So
that's funny. That's great.
So if you want to see how I play with a twig, you can go to my twig.
So, and then if anybody,
a little weird, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. So if anyone wants to buy like your magazine and get the print and it's signed, send you a message. Okay.
Or the website. Unfortunately, I don't have it set up to like automatically click, which I should. That way
but people can just message you and get it that way.
I can take credit cards and everything, so it's all good.
Okay, great. That's awesome. All right. Yeah. So, all right. So we'll start to wrap it up, everybody. I'll put links in the description, all the links that Enrique just showed us, so that you can just click on it and go there. Check out his Instagram for all his artwork. And yeah, someone just said that. I recognize that too. The child from Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes,
I recognize that too.
Yeah, he's got his little soup. He's got the soup in there, you know.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
yeah. They just announced a new season and is coming in October.
It was something we started messing with this in the corner, and then I said, "Oh wait a minute." I was just doing this little thing here. Wait a minute, hold on. Yeah, I was messing with this here, and then all of a sudden, oh look, it's like a TIE fighter. Oh look, an X-wing. Oh, let me do BB-8. It's really funny to do that in the middle of that. I was just going.
Hey, that's how you do it, man. You get the practice in.
Mm-hmm.
So
on Mondays, Inking with Kike.
Okay, yeah. So that's your show on
Monday,
Instagram.
Next Monday is Labor Day. So
what time do you normally do the show?
Eastern Standard, 8
p.m. Eastern. Okay.
Every Monday. This Monday, I don't have a guest. What I'm doing is like a Q&A. I'm asking people to send me questions, and I'll answer them online and probably just do a little work while talking and stuff. The following weeks, I'm going to have Chris Williams, Ian Miller, Chris Madd will be joining me. Okay. November is going to be a very special month. First of all, it has 5 Mondays. And on top of that, wow. all my guests will be female artists.
Okay. That's a great idea.
And I'm going to have Kaylee Leanne. I'm going to have R.C. Young. Lula Lucas is going to be there. Who else is going to be there? Right now I can't remember everybody, but it's like it's a nice group of people.
Awesome. Yeah, I love that.
So right now, up to now, I've only had Sarah Maduro on, and she and I did she sent me a nice little piece, and I ended up drawing it like inking it like a model from the Final Fantasy, and she loves that guy. She said, "Oh my God, it looks like that." I'm like, I wasn't even about it.
That's awesome. Well,
every single piece I do on live on these shows, you can find them on my webpage. They're all in the section that it says inks, 2020 inks, and they're also available for sale if anybody's interested in the original arts.
Oh, awesome. Yeah. So message you for prices and everything?
Like the prices are there. You just got to let me know.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, cool. And then everybody that, if you are interested in artwork, follow Enrique on Monday nights, 8 p.m. on Instagram. He does his show. And then also follow Ryan Wynn as well for joining us. He does an inking show on YouTube. I'm not sure what nights he does it, but if you subscribe to his channels and just hit the bell for notifications, you'll get an alert when he goes live. But all right. Well, Amy, did you have anything to add before we
call
it a night?
I followed you on Instagram, Enrique.
Awesome. I will too. Yeah, if I'm not already
gone to look at it, like there's so much diversity on your page. I love it. There's
Thank
like
you.
a favorite character for like everybody, and like you have a xenomorph. Keith knows I like aliens, you know.
Yeah.
So
It's behind my poster here, but that xenomorph is done from it was given to me from the original sketches from an artist from Brazil named Fabio, and I actually had those original inks that I did signed by Tom Skerritt and Veronica Cartwright.
Oh, really?
Cool.
Oh,
I
cool.
That's really
over
neat.
there, and,
That's awesome.
Very neat.
and it's funny how and I gave them each a print, and Tom Skerritt was actually the one most appreciative of that. I said, "Really?" He was like, "Yeah, man. You know, not a problem." I'm like,
Very nice.
That
That's
movie
cool.
influenced me so much in so many areas. It's like I'm
Mm-hmm.
constantly referring to it. So a lot of the techniques that we're using there. I'm a big Ridley Scott fan. So
Yeah, Ridley Scott's great.
Yeah, me too.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Very
a good
nice.
story to end on. So, all right, everybody. I'll be back this week with a comic review. I think I'm going to be doing The Boys, Dear Becky #1 this week. And then we'll be back in 2 weeks, hopefully with Johnny. He'll be back with me as the co-host. If not, Amy can join me again. And I know we have someone on the schedule, but I can't remember who it is. But we already have the guest booked for 2 weeks. So,
awesome.
All right, everybody. Well, thank you for joining us tonight. Enrique, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Enrique.
Amy, thanks for helping out.
Yep.
All right.
Look,
And we'll,
I gotta hit you up, guys, later. I want to go and do that show. You guys
hit us up. I still have a few tables. Oh yeah, we also run Plastic City Comic Con, which I don't talk about too much, but yeah, we'd love to have you come up. Yeah. So yeah, hit me up and
nice.
we'll work something out. All right, guys. Well, have a good night, and we'll see you on the next live stream. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.